Hello, everyone. Good evening for those of us who are joining from Ghana. You are all welcome. There's roughly about 200 of you joining us. Lovely to have you all here. Even whilst you are coming in, just tell us in the chat where you are joining us from as we get to know each other. I think we just went past 250 participants, and I'm excited to. Oh, so Abdurrahman Mahama is joining from Tamale, and then there is Emmanuel Mensah. You're joining from Ghana. Yes, I know that, but where are you joining from? Which city in particular? Abdurrahman is from Tamale, and Yasmin, which city are you joining from? I also see Emmanuel. Oh, Catherine joined us from Washington, D.C. Hi, Catherine. Oh, okay. I see Andrew from Kumasi. I see Kezia from Takrade. Hello, Kezia. Lovely to have you. I see Samuel from Kaswa. Hi, Samuel. Oh, I see Millicent from Kuforidia. Millicent, I love Kuforidia. Lovely, peaceful city. I see Michael from Ashonman. Emmanuel Okran from Tamale. Theodora from Cape Coast. Hello, Theodora. How are you doing? And then there's Samuel Aman Kuma from Kumasi, and William from Accra. Hello, all my Accra people. I hope you are well. Esther also from Accra. Daniel Ufoswampedu also from Accra. This is great. Oh, now my Accra people are suddenly arriving. Peter, Tavia, Eric. Oh, Eric from Takwa. Eric, how are you? Eric from the mining town of Takwa. Please have you. Solomon from Takoradi. And then there's also Aaron joining us from Kumasi. It's lovely to have all of you here today. And I see a lot more of you joining. We've just gone past 400. This is exciting. Let me tell you a bit about this evening. But before then, let me tell you a bit about myself. So my name is Jojo Kwanzaa. I'm Regional Director for Africa at Seed Global Education. And I'll be your host for this evening. Now, this is how it's going to go. So we'll spend the first 15 to 20 minutes doing presentations. So we have 4 great STEM schools here with us today. We have NYU Standing School of Engineering, we have Columbia Engineering, we have George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, and we have Boston University Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. So this is exciting. And each of the schools is represented here, and they'll each come and for 4 minutes, they'll tell you about their school, they'll pitch to you why it's a lovely place to study, all the opportunities they have to offer. And once all that is done, we will get together and do a panel discussion where I will start by asking some questions on your behalf. But because I'm not perfect, it's likely I'll miss some of your important questions. So once the panel discussion is done, I'll open the floor and get to ask your questions as well. Now, whilst the presentation and panels are going on, feel free to use the Q&A function, not the chat function. I'll turn off the chat pretty soon. Use the Q&A function to drop some of your questions, and I'll do my best to answer some of them. And then some will also come onto the table or onto the floor for the panelists to answer as well. I'm excited to have all of you. Hello, Aaron Joseph Kama from Kumasi. Last time, I've been to Kumasi with Kat in previous times. And hello, Clifford. You are the first person I'm seeing who said you are from Sunyani. So we'll get right to it. I'm just about to turn off the chat so we can all focus and get this sorted pretty quickly. So it's lovely to see where you're all joining us from, but we're going to get down to business right away. So today, the first school that I'm going to invite to join us is the New York University Standing School of Engineering, right in the Big Apple. And I'll welcome Brianna Ramos. Here you go, Brianna.
Thank you, Jojo. I appreciate it. Hopefully everyone can see my screen okay. Hi, everyone. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a cold right now, so apologies if it's distracting. I'm trying my best. Thank you all so much for being at this virtual event with Seed. Very excited to chat with you all about NYU Tandon, the School of Engineering. Like Jojo said, my name is Brianna Ramos. I am the graduate recruitment specialist at the engineering school. A large part of my job includes traveling domestically and internationally to meet and recruit amazing students such as yourself. I've been to Africa earlier this year in January with Kat and Jojo, and it was my first time and a lovely experience. And we did go to Ghana, which was amazing. So I chatted with some of you, but I'm happy and excited to be here to present again. All right, going through, NYU Tandon is obviously located in New York City. We have two campuses. We have a Brooklyn campus and a Manhattan campus. Our main campus is located in Brooklyn. That's where the majority of your classes are going to be. You can easily travel between the two campuses and use facilities at either one. We offer 33 degree granting programs across 11 different academic departments. They're listed on the screen as well. We offer master's and PhD programs. And then we also offer cross-disciplinary learning, which what that means is you can be a student in any of our programs, and part of your curriculum, you can take a course or an elective at a different NYU Tandon department or a different NYU school. So if you're interested in our management of technology program, for example, a lot of students from this program will take an intro to business class at our NYU Stern School of Business. So that is something that can help you kind of get a little bit of experience if you're interested in that without fully committing to that specific program. So that's something that you can do just to get an idea of our size. We have a little over 8,000 total students, with 5,000 of them being graduate and professional students, which really just means that a lot of our resources are geared towards our master's and PhD programs. You can also see our numbers here. They really do speak for themselves in terms of rankings, and I think I speak for everyone here on this call, but rankings are important, but they're not going to be the most important thing when you're trying to decide where you want to go to grad school. So just keep that in mind. There are definitely other factors that you should be thinking of when trying to decide what program you want to do and where you want to do it. And then here's a snapshot of our career services that we have. We have a very robust career center. Highly recommend to any institution that you end up getting admitted into, make sure that you are going to that career center to know all about your career resources. That's really going to help you get informed of the services that they offer, as well as help you after you graduate in terms of jobs, whether that's full-time, part-time, or internship opportunities. So being aware of the services that the Career Center offers is very important as a grad student. So these are some of the services that are offered. Very general interview prep, resume review, very kind of straightforward and to the point. And then lastly, just to talk about your required documents. So you're looking to apply, you can still apply as of right now for fall 2026. The application is still open. So as a thank you for attending this event, you will obviously receive a fee waiver code. It'll waive the $90 application fee. So there really is no excuse for you not to apply. You can do it for free. Our application requirements, pretty standard: transcripts, an essay, statement of purpose, a resume with any relevant work experience, 2 letters of recommendation. And I wanted to mention that I know it says here that an English language test is required, but it is waived for students coming from Ghana. Ghana and Nigeria is what we waive the English language test for, but that's not the case for all countries across Africa. So just keep that in mind. The GRE is optional for all of our programs as well. And then just to quickly go over scholarships, the only scholarship option that NYU Tandon offers is a merit-based scholarship. This is dependent on your academic merit, which means that the only thing we're looking at is your GPA and your grades from your undergrad transcript. So depending on how well you did or how high your GPA is from your undergrad, that determines if you get aid from us and how much aid you can get from us. The estimated amount is $3,000 to $12,000 a year for a 2-year master's program. but it really just depends. And then lastly, our deadlines are here. Like I said, if you're interested in a PhD, you still have time to apply. That deadline is December 1. And then if you're interested in a master's, you have the two deadlines, which is December 1 and the final deadline, which is February 15th. So if you're interested in coming to campus, definitely apply now while you have the time. And thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Brianna. Now from New York City, we travel to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Um, GW, the George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Jojo, and hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today's session and for being here to listen. I know it's later in the day for all of you. I know it's evening time for us on the East Coast. It's about 2:15 p.m. Right here in Washington, D.C., where I'm talking to you guys from. So my name is Catherine Hugans. I am the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions and International Partnerships, specifically for our School of Engineering and Applied Science. So George Washington University was founded in 1821 by an act of Congress. We are unique in that we actually have more students studying at the master's and PhD level compared to the bachelor's level. And we are located, as Jojo already said, in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. So we are about 5 blocks away from the White House, the World Bank, the IMF, and other large international organizations right in the heart of the nation's capital. Now, in terms of the School of Engineering and Applied Science, we are one of 14 colleges and schools throughout the university. Our college specifically has 6 academic departments. That includes computer science, electrical and computer engineering, civil and environmental engineering, mechanical and aerospace engineering, biomedical engineering, and engineering management and systems engineering. We offer 11 different programs at the master's and PhD level, which you can see that list right here. Unless it specifies master's only, we offer it at both the master's and PhD. Our master's programs are typically 2 years in length. The majority of them are thesis optional, meaning it is up to you to decide whether or not you want to pursue only coursework or if you want to do research as well. At the PhD level, we offer direct entry, which means if you know as an undergraduate student that you want to do a PhD, you are eligible to apply direct entry without a master's. The length of the PhD program will vary depending on whether or not you are coming in with a prior master's. If you are, then typically the program will take more like 4 years compared to if you're coming in without a master's, it'll be more like 6 years. Our PhD programs are typically fully funded through the academic department, and we can certainly talk a little bit more about what that looks like. Other funding opportunities that we offer at the master's level looks more like merit tuition discount scholarships. So there is no separate application, whether you're a master's or a PhD student. If you apply for admission, you will be considered for funding, which makes it very easy for you. Our application requirements are in line with what Bree was mentioning for NYU Tandon. We require copies of your transcripts, 2 letters of recommendation for a master's application, 3 letters for a PhD application. We'll need your resume and CV, copy of your statement of purpose, and the GRE is optional. Like NYU Tandon, we do not require English language test scores for students who have earned a degree or will be earning a degree in Ghana. If you've studied outside of Ghana, let me know, reach out to my office. Happy to let you know if that English requirement will be mandatory or not. For a fall intake, so to begin classes in August 2026, that deadline will be January 15th. If you're a PhD applicant, that is a final deadline. We do not accept late applicants. For master's students, however, that is a priority deadline. So we will accept applications after January 15th for masters. But if you're looking for funding, I would strongly encourage that you get everything in by that January 15th deadline. And for attending today's session, you do qualify for an application fee waiver. That's going to be Seed Africa 2026. So feel free to take a note, take a screenshot. We'll also be emailing you that information after the fact. But that should make it easy for you during the application process. And you are always welcome to email my office at engineering@gw.edu if you have any other questions. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and I will pass it back to Jojo.
Thank you very much, Kat. Much appreciated. So from Washington, D.C., we are heading back to New York City, and we welcome Julie from Columbia Engineering. Over to you, Julie.
Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen? I'm having a little
Yes.
bit of technical difficulty, so bear with me here. Okay. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Julie, and I am the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions here at Columbia Engineering. And you can see here are our rankings. We are located in New York City in the Morningside Heights neighborhood. So I'll start with some historical highlights. Columbia University was founded in 1754 as King's College. It is the oldest institution of higher learning in the state of New York and the fifth oldest in the United States. In 1864, the School of Mines was then founded, later become the Fu Foundation School of Engineering and Applied Science. We are proud of many innovations that have come out of the School of Engineering over the years, and this includes the invention of the FM radio, creation of short exposure X-rays, and mass production of antibiotics. Columbia Engineering is home to 10 departments, offering both MS and PhD programs. So, of course, we're very proud of our faculty and students who make up those 10 departments. Columbia faculty, alumni, and students are a creative and diverse, innovative population. And as New York City is an incredibly diverse city, our faculty and student body reflect that. And they come from all over the world. If you are interested in becoming part of this community, our application for 2026 is now open. And here you can see our deadlines. If you're interested in a PhD program, your deadline will be December 15th. And if you're interested in an MS degree, your deadline of the program is program specific, but generally these fall between January 5th and February 15th. I also want to highlight our professional development and leadership team who work very closely with all of our students on all things professional development. The work that they do with our students include understanding of the U.S. job search process, building out your resume, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles. They'll focus on communicating who you are, both written and verbally, with employers and alumni through networking experiences. And then all of these foundational skills are picked up during the first 2 semesters in your program. You'll get to choose some of your PDL electives where you want to focus your professional goals. And here you'll see some of the names and faces of our fantastic team of the career placement coaches. As you can see, we have a career placement coach in every program. Some of these folks come from industry, as well as now coach students on how to be successful in this process and in these fields. We also encourage you to start your application if you haven't already. And again, please reach out to our office if you have any additional questions. I'd love to chat with you. And thank you so much for your time.
Great. Thank you, Julie. So moving on from New York City, we go to Boston and we welcome Kirsty from Boston University. Hello, Kirsty.
Thank you so much, Jojo. So happy to be here. Everybody just bear with me while I get my presentation up for all of you. Are we good to go? Everybody see it? Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Jojo. My name is Kirsty Miller. I am actually the Assistant Dean of the Master Admissions team here at Boston University's College of Arts and Sciences. We are the largest college within the Boston University family. BU itself hosts about 18,000 different graduate students out of a total of about 37,000 students here, and over 4,000 faculty. Our graduate school is top ranked and is one of the most prolific in terms of the research that we do here. I also wanted to mention that BU is a member of the very prestigious AAU, which is the American Association of Universities. And this is a consortium of just over 70 leading research universities in the US. And fun fact is that collectively, those 70 universities are performing about 65% of all of the federally funded research that goes on here in the United States. So if you're interested in having a research experience or working with faculty who are working in some very interesting areas, certainly this is one of those places that you would want to do it. And I also want to mention that Boston itself is a powerhouse. It has become an economic powerhouse mostly because we have such a density of high quality education institutions here. Of course, we're home to Harvard and MIT as well as other incredible places. We have an ecosystem of leading tech companies here, including companies like Google and Meta. And also for those of you who may be interested in the biotech or pharma area, we are sort of the mecca, if you will, of biotech and pharma here. And all of this leads to incredible internship and career opportunities for our students, both while they're studying and after they graduate. So we offer over 40 master's programs and about 30 PhD programs across a full range of natural science, computational science, humanities, and social science. In particular, our largest programs in the College of Arts and Sciences are in our computer science area and also our artificial intelligence program, which has grown leaps and bounds. And of course, we also work closely with our sister college, the College of Engineering here, which offers a variety of programs in the various disciplines that you see on the screen now as well. And I think it's important to say that, you know, in addition to the academics here, which of course are the primary reason that you will be coming here to study, we also want to ensure that our students have access to a full range of supports and services. It's important that your entire holistic experience here is a positive one. And so we offer a whole range of supports here to make sure that students have a productive and fulfilling time here. Some of those include, obviously, our Center for Career Development, which does an incredible job of working particularly with our international students. Because we are a major international student destination, we have an incredible list of company partnerships, companies who have a history of hiring our international students for internships and indeed for permanent positions. We leverage that information for the benefit of our students. There's also, you know, a whole host of things to ensure that your mental health needs are also taken care of, that you're bonding with the community, and that you have a place to go and find people who are like-minded and have interests that you may share. And then finally, our faculty, as I mentioned, we're a leading research university. They're really leaders in their field and provide students in both the master's and the PhD programs with extensive opportunities to engage in research. And whether that's through a full doctoral dissertation in a PhD program, or perhaps you want to do a master's thesis, or perhaps you want your program to be more applied and to get engaged with more applied projects. All of these opportunities make use of the extensive world-class research and other kinds of facilities here that we offer on campus. And we hope that you will consider us, and we invite all qualified candidates to apply for admission for fall 26. Our priority deadline for our master's programs is January 15th, and we have a final deadline of March 15th for our master's programs. Most of our PhD programs have a deadline of, I think this year it's December 3rd. So that's coming up pretty quickly. And at the master's level, we offer, again, like my counterparts here, generous merit-based tuition scholarships. Those are based on our holistic review as you as a candidate. So that doesn't mean just having a high GPA. It means, you know, sort of your overall performance in your academics, your contribution to your field. All of these things are weighed in our decisions about how we can support you with merit-based scholarship. as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kirsty, and thanks to everyone for these great presentations. As I had mentioned earlier, we will be going into the panel discussions. I will start by asking a few questions for the panelists, and then when I'm done, I'll give members of the audience an opportunity to also be able to ask their questions as well. Just going along, and I'll start with you, Catherine. So most people on this call, some may have come quite a bit of, I've been on a bit of a journey as far as their graduate school dreams are concerned. And then there may be some who are also starting. Today may be the first time or the first step that they've taken. When you are looking at candidates coming from Africa, from Ghana, Nigeria, etc., what do you look for in the ideal candidate who applies to your programs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what I would say is that the ideal candidate is going to vary depending on each student and their individualized backgrounds. You know, everyone is coming at this master's application from a different point. Some students might be applying in their final year of their undergraduate studies. Some students might have taken a few years to get some work experience to really figure out what they want to do. To make some changes. And some students might be coming back to the graduate application process after they've been working in the field for 20, 30 years, and they're looking to make a major change in their life. You know, so everyone's going to look a little bit different, but what we are looking to see is that you know what you want to do. A master's program or a PhD program especially are very highly specialized degree programs. You're going to be in the program for not very long, especially a master's. This can be 1 to 2 years in length. So it's going to be highly focused. And unlike potentially a bachelor's program, which allows a lot of breadth and room to explore other opportunities, a master's program is really where we're looking for you to be highly specialized in one very niche area of study. And so you need to be able to articulate why you're applying to the program that you're applying to. What is it about this degree field, this program, this area of expertise, this institution that makes you excited to study? What do you want to do with this degree after you graduate? And so students need to be able to put into words what those plans are, why they're applying to this school, what are they hoping to get out of this degree program? Are there faculty that they want to work with at this school? Is there a reason they want to be in Boston or Washington, D.C. or New York City versus anywhere else that they could go study in the United States or around the world? So we're looking for, you know, maturity. We're looking for a sense of surety and knowledge about your own self and your expertise and your preparedness for this degree program. And the way that we're going to do that is by looking at all of the different materials that students submit, because in the United States, we do what's known as a holistic review. So we're not just looking at your CGPA from your undergraduate studies. We really are taking into account, what are you saying in that statement of purpose? What are your professors from your studies or your employers saying about you in those letters of recommendation? What have you done outside of the classroom that you're choosing to highlight in that resume and CV? Those are the things that are going to go into the review process for us to determine if you are the ideal candidate. I hope that gave a brief
Super. Yeah, so Brianna, Julie, Kirsty, do you want to add to that? Okay, so moving on then. So a number of the candidates on this call have come from very technical backgrounds, very strong STEM backgrounds as well. And there's a possibility that some may be struggling a little bit in their undergraduate studies, but they did manage to finish, and they did finish strongly. Now, for candidates like that, they are now coming to apply to grad school. How do they compensate for the seemingly lower academic performance at certain stages in their undergraduate program. I'll start with you, Julie, on this one. How can candidates compensate? Can they, for example, use a GRE to compensate, for example?
Yeah, great question. Students can stand out in their application with quality experiences, especially those that are able to talk about those experiences and how they kind of align with their goals post-graduation from the graduate program. GRE scores can also compensate for areas in the application that may be lacking, like you said, a low GPA. Especially if the quant score is, 165 or higher, this would be a supplemental material. But at that score, it would be a strong supplemental material.
Okay. Do you want to add to that, Kirsty?
Yeah, I think Julie had a great answer to that. I would just also add that I think it's important for students who are looking at graduate programs to know that schools understand that they're human and that life happens. And not everybody can be a 4.0 GPA because things, sort of go off the rails at times. We've, when COVID happened, that was incredibly difficult for a lot of students, and it really made it difficult for certain types of learners to be successful in that online environment. So I think that what's important is that if students have low grades in particular courses, or maybe they had a bad semester, or a bad sophomore year of some kind, I think it's important. I always tell students to address that. Don't just ignore it. And because what happens is that the people who are reviewing, the faculty who are reviewing your application, are left to wonder, geez, what happened? Why did the student fall off the cliff in sophomore year? And so it's really important for students to be honest about, they don't have to share with us the personal details of what was happening in their life, but only to acknowledge that maybe something did impact their ability to be successful at a certain time in their program. And that information is very helpful to the faculty as they evaluate them. The other thing I will say is that the grades in particular kinds of courses are going to be more or less important depending on the program the student is applying to, right? So if you're applying to an engineering program and you didn't do so well in your gen eds, your general education that's going to be less important than seeing that you have been successful in the core courses that are important to build on for your graduate study. So it's a little nuanced, but I always tell students to, be honest and to acknowledge and, acknowledge head on if they've struggled and maybe how they were able to recover from that.
Great. Now let me come to you, Brianna. Quite a number of students go through taught undergraduate programs and may come into their graduate school application with limited research experience. How important is undergraduate research experience when they're applying to graduate STEM programs?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think it's going to depend first on what institution you're applying to. So, depending on the university you're applying to and the program, some of them might or might not require work or research experience. Typically, for PhDs, if you're coming direct, like Kat had mentioned, coming into a PhD without a master's, the department is going to be wanting significant research experience. Versus if you're coming from undergrad to a master's, for us specifically, traditional work experience and research experience is not required for any of our programs, but that may not be the case for other schools that you're looking at. So my number one tip would be to research that, look on their website, make an appointment with an admissions counselor to get that question answered, so you kind of know all the information before getting into it. And then I did want to add, regardless of whether an institution requires work experience or not, that doesn't mean, so we don't require, but that doesn't mean that you're going to submit your application with a resume with nothing on it, right? You're going to obviously want some sort of experience on there. And so what I like to tell students is think about right now what you're doing in your undergrad that is helping you gain those skills that are not only going to make you eligible to apply to those programs, but also get admitted and also be successful in the program that you're looking to apply to on a master's or a PhD level. So basically, what are the skills that you're gaining now to help you out with that? I would also maybe recommend looking at the program that you're interested in applying to, kind of reading through their research and what they require from their students, and kind of working on kind of tailoring your resume a little bit in that way to see kind of what they're looking for and how you can gain similar experience like that. Anything from research projects, research papers, maybe an issue that you want to work on with your cohort or your peers, maybe an app that you want to work on developing or a business. Entrepreneurial spirit is something that we really value here at NYU, and I'm sure other institutions as well. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to think about what type of experience to gain.
Awesome. Now let's go into the different documentations and materials that you need to apply. Let's start first with the statement of purpose. With all your experience reviewing applications, reviewing great candidates, not so great candidates, what are some of the common pitfalls that you have seen with statements of purpose? And we can start with you, Kirsty.
Great. Well, my number one advice would be to make sure you get the name of the school right. I've seen that many, many times. Because students will often use a statement of purpose for multiple applications and they forget to change the name. So, but you know what I say to students is I really am looking for you to answer 3 questions in your statement of purpose. What is it that you want to study? And I think that Kat really talked about this earlier in terms of, you know, what is a master's? A master's is a chance to specialize. So don't tell us that you want to study biomedical engineering. Tell us that you want to study, neurological imaging within biomedical engineering, right? What is it that you want to focus on and why? You know, what is it that's driving your curiosity in this area? What's driving you to want to learn more about this? So that's the second one. What is it? Why do you want to study it? And third is, what do you want to do with it when you graduate, right? What are your career aspirations? How do you want to use this degree for your career? And so there are lots of things that kind of go along with those 3 questions. So one is, you know, if you've decided that you want to study something specialized, and you're talking about why you want to do that, are there faculty in the program that you are particularly interested in working with? Take the time to research who the faculty are in your program and what their research programs are all about, and focus on the ones that are a close fit for your interests, right? So, and that's even an important thing to do, even if you're not sure you want to do research. It shows that you have taken the time to understand the nuances of the program and that the program does align with your interests, whether or not you eventually do research, because there are other ways to engage beyond research. So those, you know, those would be my main things for students, and I'll hand it off to my colleagues here.
Yes, I'll still stay on that topic and I'll come to you, Kat. So in this era of ChatGPT, Gemini, what's the place of artificial intelligence in drafting application documents such as statement of purpose or an application essay? I mean, is there room for us to use some ChatGPT? I'm sure some people on the call may have considered that or may have tried that before. Kat, is there room for that?
I think that is a fantastic question, especially to be asking today in 2025. What I would say is that first, you should make sure that you're reviewing every school you're applying to see if they have an AI policy. Some schools might be very explicit that it is not allowed, and it's a disqualifying use. If you do it, you might, and you're caught, you might get automatically denied. So make sure that you're checking that. If a school doesn't have that policy, if it says it's okay, that's when we get more into like where I want to answer this question, which is I'm not, I'm not ignorant to the fact that lots of people are using it, especially in the world of engineering. There is a use for AI in the world, generative AI, especially ChatGPT or Gemini or anything of that sort. I would say if you're allowed to use it and you're using it for the purpose of editing or for getting ideas or for cleaning up your language and rephrasing something you're really struggling with, that might be okay if you feel comfortable with it. That's a good use of it. What you don't want to do is have ChatGPT or any generative AI writing your statement of purpose for you wholesale. For one thing, what is generative AI right now? It is an aggregate. It's giving you the most average of anything that you're asking for. It's running down what is the most typical, average, standard answer for a statement of purpose. You do not want your statement of purpose to be average. You don't want it to be saying the same thing every other application is saying. And in your application, in all of the documents you're submitting, your statement of purpose is really the only place where you are getting the opportunity to personally advocate for yourself, to actually speak directly to the admissions committee. You can't go back in time and change what grades you got, what you studied in your undergraduate degree. You can't change what experiences you've gotten over time for your resume CV. You can't control what your recommenders are writing for you, what scores you get on tests. You have complete control over that statement of purpose. And giving that up to a coding system that has no care in the world as to whether or not you get admitted and what you're going to do with this degree for the rest of your life is a waste of an opportunity. So if you feel like you absolutely need to use it, I would say use it for the purposes of editing and idea browsing only. Do not waste it by giving it something else. And again, make sure that you are double checking that any school, if you are planning on using it, that they're not going to deny you, because there are some schools that are using AI screening services and materials to make them aware if students are using AI. Some schools are denying students who use it. So making sure that you are in line with the honor code of any school you're applying to, and that you're not forfeiting a really great opportunity to speak directly to the school you're applying to.
Can I
Awesome. Thanks,
mention
Kat.
something? Can I
Yes,
just
yes, go
pipe
ahead,
in there?
Kirsty.
I would be
Go
so
ahead,
bold
Kirsty.
as to, I do tell students, do not use AI for your application. That may be going too far, but I think that is the safest thing to say to students. I think that you will definitely not disqualify yourself, and that to Kat's point, it is your opportunity to be really personalized, and that's not what AI's strength is. So I would advise any student not to use AI for this purpose.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. So coming back to you, Julie, let's talk about the other important document, which is the letters of recommendation. Now, should we always be looking out for important people, CEOs of the companies we work for, big shot ministers of state? Are they the ones we should be pursuing all the time?
Great question. We recommend choosing recommenders who know your academic or research abilities in like concrete detail, right? They should be thesis or project supervisors. They could be research mentors. They could be course instructors who supervised independent work, or even managers from, technical internships. Letters that quantify your contribution, compare you to peers, right, and speak to your potential for graduate level study. These are kind of, the recommendations that we're looking for. Try to avoid letters from people who know you casually, like a friend or, I don't know, a PhD student, right? I don't think they could kind of advocate or comment on your technical skills. So that's one thing that I would avoid, recommend doing. Yep.
All right. Now, let me come back to you, Brianna. I know for sure that at NYU, you have interview process as part of your an interview as part of your application process. Now, what should candidates know and how should they prepare for these interviews, considering the fact that they'll be interviewed remotely, just as they've joined this call remotely this evening?
Yeah, so the way that it works is we actually don't have specific interviews. What we do have are video prompts that you have to answer depending on the specific program you're applying to. So if you're interested in our integrated design and media program, our IDM program, part of the application process that's different than our other programs is one, you have to submit a portfolio and then a 1-minute introductory video. This department has said to us specifically for IDM that if you can show some of your creativity throughout this 1-minute long presentation. It's just kind of talking in front of a camera like this, introducing yourself. It really kind of gives them a sense of who you are. And what's different is for another one of our programs, our financial engineering programs, FRE, they also require a 1-minute intro video, but it's not so much for creativity purposes. It's more so because in this specific program at FRE, you will have many interviews with companies. And so they want to make sure that you know how to come to those interviews, those virtual interviews. So one thing I will say is specifically for that program, if you're doing that 1-minute video, make sure you are groomed. Your background doesn't look crazy. There's not a bunch of noise. They've specifically told us this. This is to ensure that you will be a good candidate to do a bunch of those interviews that you'll need to do once you're in this program. So just keep that in mind for FRE and for IDM.
All right, well noted on that. Do we have any other additions to the interview, the saga of the interviews? All right, so let's move on then. Let's talk about life after you leave graduate school, after you get your STEM graduate degree, and now you're out there in the world. I'll now come to you with this card. Can you tell us a bit more about the visa options available for students who are looking to gain some work experience in the US? The options like the CPT and the OPT for STEM graduates. I mean, are there even opportunities for students to stay after they study at your university?
Yeah, I can definitely go over that. Let's pull back a little bit and talk more about what you would be doing right now after you've gone through this admissions process. So you are applying to graduate schools in the US, you receive your admissions offer, you accept the one of the school you want to travel to. Your next step will be working with your school to submit all of the necessary documents to receive what's known as a Form I-20. The Form I-20 is a government document that has all of your biographic, programmatic, school, and financial information. And this is the form that you will actually use to apply for your F1 non-immigrant student visa, which is the most common visa that students study on while they're in the United States. And it's what most likely all of you will study on if you do come to the US to study. So you will go to your local US embassy or consulate in Accra or Kumasi, and you will attend a visa interview, answer questions about why this program, why this school, what are your plans, how are you paying for it? And ideally you receive that F1 visa, and the visa is the thing that actually allows you to come to the United States. It's what gives you permission to travel to the US, and your I-20 is the document that allows you to stay in the US. Once you've been in the program, once you get this F1 visa, you and the US government are entering into an agreement that your main purpose for being in the US is to be a student, right? It's to go to classes, take exams, get your degree, get an education. So what that means is that there will be some restrictions put in place as to when and where and how long you can actually work. So what that means and what that looks like is typically during the first year of your program, you are not allowed to work off campus, but you can work on campus. You can get a job at the university as a student worker in the library or an admin office or the gym or the dining hall and work part-time, which is about 20 hours per week during the academic school year. After you've been in your program for typically about 1 year is when you become eligible for something known as CPT. CPT is curricular practical training, and that's the status that allows F1 students to actually work off campus, to get experience in their field of study, practically in an internship or a job. And if it's during the school year, still part-time, still 20 hours a week. But if it's during a university break, like the summer holidays, you're allowed to work more than part-time. You can work 40 hours or more. And that's when you're really getting that hands-on practical experience. And you can continue to do that as your program goes on, and you'll work with your international services office to make sure you're maintaining your status. After you graduate, all F1 students become eligible for something called OPT. OPT is optional practical training, and that's the status that allows F1 students to stay in the United States post-graduation and get work experience. All F1 students are eligible to apply for at least 1 year of OPT, 12 months of work experience post-graduation. Some students in select STEM programs can qualify for something known as the STEM OPT extension, which means on top of the initial 12 months that everyone is eligible for, the STEM OPT students can do an additional 24 months on top. So that's 3 full years of work experience, still on your student visa, but gaining that experience before you ever need to decide what your next steps are, like applying for H-1B, returning to your home country, moving to Germany, applying for a new program, what have you. And throughout this whole process, you will always have advisors at your institution that are there to make sure that you're maintaining your status, that you're meeting deadlines, that you're not missing out on these opportunities, and they'll be happy to answer those questions. I know it's really complicated. F1, CPT, OPT, I-20, there are a lot of shorthands and vernacular that can be confusing, but you will not be alone. Your university will be there to help you, and always happy to talk more.
Awesome. Thanks for breaking this down in the best possible way, Kat. Much appreciated. Now I'm coming to you with this one, Julie. Now, CPT, OPT, all good, but I'm sure there are, and I've seen this question in the Q&A also. A few people are wondering what the opportunities are for STEM graduates in the US today. What sort of industries are hiring them? Where are they usually ending up with their engineering degrees, their computer science degrees, etc., etc.?
Yeah, so right now the job market conditions fluctuate, right, by field and the economic cycle. Generally, demand remains really strong in data science, machine learning, software engineering, biotech. And we actually have a career placement team that kind of monitors the employer demand, that really work with students, and we maintain good employer relationship with students to help navigate, the market shifts. So we've seen students, that go to Amazon, Tesla, different fields and different markets. So that's what I would say on behalf of Columbia.
I also wanted to add, I think having an engineering degree really helps you out, regardless of where you get it from, because if you think about it, regardless of the company regardless of what a company is promoting, selling, they need engineers to run it. Every company is going to need an engineer. And so the likelihood of you getting a job is very high. Maybe it's not, your first choice of a job, but maybe it is. And that can get you in that, get your foot in the door to then in the future get something else. So definitely think about it in that way. As a likelihood and ability to get a job with an engineering degree is high, as well as location. If you're thinking about what company you want to work at, where is their headquarters? Where do they have other locations? Think about that in terms of where you want to go, where you want to end up after, also after you graduate as well.
Yeah, I'd also like to add on to that as well, because I think Brianna made a really good point, and that is, and Julie mentioned that the market is cyclical, right? Things sort of ebb and flow. But I think what we're seeing is that there is a migration to data, and being the underpinning of everything. which means for students who are studying in places like engineering and in computer science, that actually your job opportunities have become much broader and more robust. Instead of those opportunities being in sort of traditional industries, I think to Brianna's point, there are companies that probably nobody would have thought of to send an engineering student to or a computer scientist to, that are now looking for students with this technical skill set, right? And so I think that actually there are tremendous opportunities for students studying in these fields right now.
Great. And I like the fact that you're talking about all the tremendous opportunities. I'd like to ask Kirsty, what sort of resources exist internally in your schools that support students and people who've almost graduated to get the process going in terms of trying to settle into the job market and trying to build a career after they leave school?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, probably like many of my colleagues here, there's sort of a multi-layered approach, I would say, at BU, right? So we have the traditional resources here. We have an incredible Center for Career Development that is fully staffed with career counselors that work with a variety of students. They do it, they're focused in different fields. So we have career counselors that work in engineering and computer science and specialize, and their jobs are to build relationships with employers in those fields so that they can share that information with students who are in these kinds of programs. But also at the program level, right? So a student who's coming into our College of Arts and Sciences in one of our computer science programs, there's a whole plethora of resources just within the computer science and AI department, right? There's administrative staff who are responsible for building partnerships with employers. They do workshops all the time for students to bone up on their getting ready for the job market. We've got a career course that we make available to students coming in so that it sort of takes them step by step through the looking for an internship or looking for a permanent position after they graduate. There are all kinds of other kinds of like clubs here with students who are focused on professional development so that students don't just have to rely on our career center. There are other places that they can go. But we understand, I think all of us understand here that that all of you who are here at this session are trying to find a way to build your skills so that you can make a contribution in your career, that you can either start a new career or that you can continue to move your career along, right? That's the goal here. And we understand that. And I think that every school is set up to not only ensure you have a robust academic experience, but that you're able to leverage that for a result at the end.
Great. Thanks very much for this, Kirsty. And one more thing, I'll come to you on this one, Brianna. So when I do host, and sometimes I do host business school events, and I get a lot of talk about leadership and how MBA graduates need to show leadership, and it's a buzzword that gets thrown about a whole lot. Now I'm wondering, for STEM graduates, is this relevant to them? And also, if it is, how are they going to exhibit leadership once they are coming to the tail end of their graduate programs and they start to look towards the job market?
Yeah, I think it definitely could be beneficial and helpful. Maybe not required, to apply to a grad program, but leadership skills are important at any stage. And I also kind of want to piggyback off of what Kirsty was saying about Career Center, because that's really where you're going to get those type of skills. Career centers typically host various sessions, maybe something like this, whether it's virtual or in person, to kind of hone in on those type of skills, like leadership skills, maybe soft skills, which is something that is not really talked about as much, but is just as equally as important and beneficial to technical skills as well. Soft skills, being able to look at someone in their eyes when you're talking to them, being able to do a panel or a presentation like we're all doing right now. Getting really familiar and comfortable in this type of space is something that can be really beneficial for students, not only for going to grad school, but just in general, like just in general to have this type of skill of being able to host like JoJo's doing and to chat on a panel and kind of all of us having things that we want to share with all of you who are attending. These are all skills that we've all attained over the years of being in higher ed. And I think that these are also something that can help you not only in your program when you're in your classes and you need to have discussions in class and in group projects as well, but also if you have to present that project in a thesis or a capstone, that can definitely be beneficial. And also in the workplace, being an engineer who has incredible soft skills is like insane. You'll do amazing. Being able to have a conversation with someone, talk to anyone in a room. That is something that really can't be, I can't stress it enough that these are really valuable skills, along with the leadership skills that JoJo had mentioned. And where you're going to get those skills is at the Career Center. So exactly everything what Christy was saying. When you get to campus, I want you all to make sure you are making an appointment with a career counselor, know all of the resources that are available to you, because it really is those type of networking points and those sessions that you're attending where you can not only meet people, but you can learn a lot from them. That's where you're going to meet your peers and people who are kind of going through the same thing that you are. Sorry, I went on and on.
Oh, you're muted, Jojo.
Okay, so I was saying that she didn't go on and on. So I'm coming to you on this one, Julie. Now, there are some people on this call who have entrepreneurial ambitions. They are looking to come to grad school, study, and use the opportunities in a country like the US to advance an idea, advance an invention, a big idea, for example. Now, is there room or what sort of support is available for students like that?
I'm so sorry, Jojo. Can you repeat that? My computer just, I'm sorry, technical issues.
Yes. So I was talking about the entrepreneurs on the call, whose plans are to come to grad school and then use the opportunity, the network, and the learnings to advance whatever big idea or big business invention that they have.
Perfect. Yeah.
What sort of support is available for people like that?
Yeah, so Columbia has an extensive entrepreneurship resources, including entrepreneurial institutes. We have incubators, makerspace, which is super cool. We have entrepreneurship centers and a lot of events. So our school offers mentorships and pitch competitions, which is really popular on campus. And we have connections to VC and corporate partners. This way, engineering students can pursue, cross-registration with business programs, and use the university incubators and access like technical market mentorship. So these are some of the resources that we have, and yep, resource for extend beyond the engineering school.
All right, all right. And before I go to the audience, Kat, I was just wondering, I've been asked a few PhD questions in the Q&A. Is there an opportunity for someone to go straight to a PhD? Would you advise that, or maybe you recommend they come onto an MS program, build some experience and confidence before they move to the PhD?
Yeah, I would say that the answer to that question is going to vary. For one, some schools may not allow you to apply direct entry without a master's program. It might be a requirement. For the schools that do allow it, like GW Engineering and I believe NYU, Tandon, it's going to be highly competitive. So if you know as an undergraduate student that your next step that you want to pursue is a PhD, you have to know that you're going to be in an applicant pool competing with students who do have masters for a limited number of spots. So students who have been successful in the past without a master's applying direct entry, those are typically going to be students that have dedicated research experience already. They've done a thesis project or research with a professor in their undergraduate studies. These are going to be students that potentially might have a publication to their name or two. And these are going to have to be students who can really articulate why they want to pursue this path. Why are they going the less traditional route of doing the master's? And why are they prepared to do that? And so, of course, you would also need strong recommenders who can speak to your maturity, who can speak to the fact that you are prepared for this rigorous commitment, and can speak to your research experience, because as a PhD student, you will have a higher credit threshold most likely, that you'll have to complete before you're allowed to do your dissertation. And then once you do that, you will be working on a multi-year long research project that you will be guiding yourself with the support of a faculty member. So there are a lot of different factors that go into deciding whether or not you're ready for this point. And it shouldn't just be the question of, well, PhD is typically fully funded, so that's what I'm going to pursue. To do a PhD program, this is a large commitment to you, and we're going to be looking for somebody who can really take on that initiative and that maturity and really be prepared to do that. And you're going to have to show that you can meet those thresholds in that application. The other thing I would say, of course, is to make sure that you're paying attention to the requirements. Some schools are going to require that you have a pre-existing relationship with the faculty, that you reach out to them beforehand and get their support for your application. Some schools don't require that. GW Engineering does not. My faculty, very busy. They don't want to be fielding emails from every applicant possible looking to do a PhD. But you are going to have to identify in your application who you want to work with, and you're going to have to make sure that we have faculty doing work in the area you're interested in. GW has a computer science PhD, so does NYU, so does BU. The work that's actually happening in those departments might look very different because our faculty are very different. Our faculty are doing research in different areas. They might not be the perfect fit depending on your specific interests. So lots of different factors go into deciding whether or not to pursue a PhD, whether or not you're coming in with a prior master's. And then the other thing I would just add is some schools do offer a combined master's and PhD. GW does not. I believe Columbia does. So there are other options. So just make sure that you're doing that research and finding the best fit program for you.
All right. Thanks very much, Kat. And I would go to some of the questions in the Q&A. Now, I've got two questions on program switching. Or let me say switching or from a different program to engineering. So I have someone talking about how they have a biochemistry degree. And then I also have someone talking about how they have an environmental sciences degree, and they are both interested in pursuing engineering or technology postgraduate programs, and they are wondering if they have the minimum requirements coming from a natural science background, trying to move into engineering. Is that possible? Kat, you want to go?
Yeah, I can definitely take that. What I would say is that this answer is going to vary depending on the school you apply to. I know that seems to be my answer for everything, but it's true. What I would say is that it's very common in the United States for students to change their area of study between their bachelor's and their master's. That's not uncommon. It happens all the time. But every program is going to be looking to make sure that you are academically prepared and well suited for the program you're applying to. And so I can't give you a blanket answer because it's going to be dependent on the coursework you did in your undergraduate studies. And it's going to be based on the holistic review of your application. What I would say is that typically programs will be very explicit if they're looking for a specific prior bachelor's degree, if they're looking for specific courses that you need to have completed. So we're never trying to hide that information. So for example, I know GW's computer science program has a lot of very strict course requirements that students who maybe didn't study CS need to have met. They need to have taken discrete structures, they need to have some programming background, things like that. While some of my other engineering degree programs don't have quite as rigorous of specific requirements, but they are looking to make sure that students have the requisite math skills and technical backgrounds that would make you succeed in an engineering degree program. I studied English literature. I would not succeed if I dropped into a biomedical engineering master's at this point in time. But we have admitted students who've had liberal arts or humanities or natural sciences degrees who went out of their way to take electives and classes in the hard sciences during their undergraduate study, or who've gone on and have had several years of work experience in that field. So your bachelor's degree, the topic, the subject matter might not be disqualifying. It's going to depend on that very specific review of your actual degree details and things. So I would say reach out to the school you're applying to, ask about the specific program, look at the requirements listed on the website. You might be able to figure out if you're a good fit on your own, or you might need an admissions officer to do a more close look at your background.
All right. Now, thanks for this, Kat. Now, there are also, I've seen a few questions also expressing concern about GPAs. I've seen figures being thrown about in the Q&A. Someone is asking me if a 2.5 is acceptable out of 4.0, not 5.0. People have all sorts of numbers they are throwing about. I'm wondering, and I know we've spoken about the relevance of GPAs, but is there a minimum below which you will not go? And this goes across to all of you. Just to put those students, to give them some confidence about the future.
I can answer so as us who work in admissions, you cannot tell us what your GPA is and then expect us to give you an answer of like, oh yeah, you'll get in, or oh no, you won't get in. Because we do the holistic review. So the department who's reviewing your applications are looking at all aspects of your application, your GPA, your grades, letters of recommendation, statement of purpose, all of that. What I'll say for NYU is we say that you need at least a 3.0 in order to apply to any of our programs. However, I have seen applications of students who have gotten admitted with a 2.6, 2.7, 2.8. Now, that does not allow them to get that merit-based scholarship that I talked about earlier in my presentation, but that still allows them to get admitted. So clearly, it's just an example to show you that clearly there was something else in this student's application besides their grades that the department really wanted them, whether that was whoever wrote their statement of or their letters of recommendation, what their resume was looking like, their research, work experience, things like that. So there was clearly something else other than their grades and GPA that the department was like, regardless of this, we still want them to be a student in our program. So I say that to say, definitely still apply, regardless of what your GPA is, regardless of what the institution you're applying to, whatever their kind of minimum is, still apply. Don't give yourself that no. Let us give you the no first before you give it to yourself. So definitely still apply regardless of what your GPA is looking like.
All right. Thank you so much, Brianna.
Oh, I have one more thing to add. Oh my God, sorry,
Yes.
I know I'm so annoying. The other thing I wanted to add in terms of GPA is this is when the GRE that Julie talked about earlier can come into play, because taking the GRE can help show the department, oh, we see this kind of discrepancy in your transcript. You know, Christy was talking about when lifes and things happen. That can still show the department that you still have knowledge in these research areas or in the things that are going to be taught in this program because you did really well in the GRE. So it's not that you don't know the material. It's just that something happened in your life, you know, in a semester, whatever happened. But it doesn't mean that you're not you don't have the skills for it. So the GRE can definitely help with that if you're really unsure about your GPA and you're really struggling, especially if you're in that like 2.0 range. and even like lower 3.0, consider taking the GRE. And then I would also recommend reaching out to the university you're interested in applying to and see what their GRE average is, to make sure that you're in between that range or above so that you can feel good about uploading it, especially if it's optional. You don't want the GRE to have the opposite effect, which is show that you shouldn't get admitted. The point is for it to help your application. Okay, I'm done.
Can I
All
add to
right.
that?
Yes, you can, Kirsty. Yes.
I would just say one last thing about that, because I think Brianna did a fine job. I think that it's just important to know that when we, and I'm talking about the schools in Boston University's case, we have faculty from the department who are looking at your application. They're not, admissions staff that are necessarily making these decisions. They have your best interests at heart. They are looking for someone who they believe can be successful in the program. We do not want to admit a student who is not going to be able to graduate successfully with their master's or PhD degree at the end. We do not want you to come in and fail. So we are looking at your application, and again, that word holistically, we are looking for all the indicators in your application that tell us that you can be successful in our degree program. That is the goal.
That is the goal. Now, I have Selom. Selom here is, this question is related to the content of the program. We'll try not to be too technical about it. So Selom is wondering, in your STEM programs, do they sort of prioritize more innovation, or they are happy with applying more of existing knowledge and research to solve real-world problems? What sort of orientation exists in your CS and your engineering programs, for example? And so Selom this has got more to do with the content of the programs and what he can expect. Is he coming into programs that try to apply research to solve real-world problems, or programs that allows him to innovate and build and invent? He wants to understand that, and any of you can go for this one.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Kat? Yes.
It's going to be my same answer that I've given for everyone so far, which is that it is dependent on the program you apply to and the university you apply to. As I mentioned, all four of us up here have similar degree programs that we offer in engineering. They're going to look very different. They're in different cities, universities. The requirements are going to be different. So I'll speak about GW engineering, and anyone who wants to add on is welcome to. For GW engineering, the majority of my master's programs are thesis optional. What that means is that if you want to get research and hands-on and practical research experience, you can choose to pursue that. And in your second year of your program, you'll dedicate 6 credit hours to doing independent research and doing a thesis project. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You could choose to do the non-thesis option, which would mean that you would simply enroll in practical courses and you would get grades, and that's how you would spend your credits. Some schools offer a co-op option, which means that you have to do an internship with companies that are affiliated with the school. GW doesn't have that. So if you know that you want to get work experience and get credit for that experience, you might want to be looking for schools that have a co-op. We might not be the best fit. Some schools are going to have a mandatory thesis. My data analytics program is a little unique. It is a cohort-based program, so everybody has to start in fall, and it has a mandatory project that everyone has to do in their second year of their program. So unlike my other programs that are thesis optional, my data analytics is not. You might not want to do that. Maybe there's another school that offers data analytics that doesn't have that project requirement. So it really is going to be dependent on you doing your research. doing independent research, spending a lot of time on Google, looking at our university websites and finding out which program is actually going to fit your needs. Some programs are going to be 1 year, some are going to be 2 years, some are going to be 1.5 years. If you don't want to spend 2 years in a program, you want to be done in a year, you should be making sure that you're finding 1-year programs. So I know that was not a great answer maybe, but it really is going to be dependent on what you're looking for. So if you want a program that's valuing innovation, that's really looking for you to be doing research, you should be prioritizing research-based programs or programs with co-ops or things of that sort.
So kind of
Yes,
wanted to
go ahead,
add.
Gianna.
Yeah, I wanted to add to what Kat was saying, and she's been saying it perfectly with each answer or with each question that she's answering, which is you need to do your research. I think we all agree here. It's going to be different depending on the university you're applying to. So doing your research, and also what Kat said at the end, where you don't want to settle for a program, whether it's a master's or a PhD. I think sometimes you can get away with kind of doing whatever in your undergrad because you can switch majors if you kind of end up hating it. And you have 4 years to go through it. Whereas on a master's level, it's not as easy to switch from one program to the next. There are certain stipulations and things that you have to go through if you really want to do that. It's not as easy. Also, it's 2 years. 1 or 2 year program is going to go by so fast. You want to make sure that you are enjoying it. You don't want to hate it. You don't want to hate that time. You want to be learning and enjoying what you're doing during that time as well. So I would recommend you to do your research and know exactly what you want from this program. And I think it's okay if you're really interested in a school and it's your dream school, but they don't have the program that you're looking for, then maybe that school isn't for you and you shouldn't be settling for it. You should be absolutely putting your time, energy, and money towards a school and a program that you 100% are interested in and will enjoy.
Yeah, and if I
Awesome.
could add one last thing to that, I think that you will probably find that every one of us up here is representing a school that provides a host of opportunities to be entrepreneurial and to be innovative, and it may not necessarily be strictly embedded in your academic program, but the school itself may offer other ways. The other thing I would offer is that I think that many schools, and I'll speak for BU here and certainly our CS program, there is an active desire to make sure that students are not just getting a solid foundation in the advanced sorry, I muted. There is that theoretical piece of it, but there is also a real emphasis on applying those foundational concepts to real sort of practical skills, right? So at BU, what you're going to find is that you're going to get a range of theoretical courses and very practical project-based courses. We want students to be actively utilizing their skills to create something tangible. And so it's important that if that's a key consideration for you, as Kat and Brianna said, that you should be actively making sure that any programs you're considering give you those kinds of opportunities.
All right. Now, in a minute, I'm going to give an opportunity for some members of the audience to ask a question, maybe a couple of people. But my little piece of advice is if the question can be found on the website, you don't need to ask it in public. So I've seen questions from people asking, do you offer this program? Do you offer that program? Those questions we can fix with a simple Google search. So we can skip those. Do you have a scholarship? It's yes and no. So those ones we can also fix with spending some time on the university website and looking through on that as well. And I've seen some different questions about. So I'll go to Ebenezer. Ebenezer Jam. Ebenezer, I just Yes, you can talk now, Ebenezer. Go ahead.
Okay, please, I have just 3 questions and I want to ask them all together so that
Hey, okay, ask them together so we can go really fast, Ebenezer.
they're not that long. They are just short questions. Okay, so my
Okay.
first question is I just completed my undergraduate studies, but I've not graduated yet. I'm still waiting for the final result to be released. I don't have my certificate and everything yet. My transcript is incomplete, and I wanted to ask if since the deadline, some of the deadlines are in December and January, I can still apply with my incomplete transcript. That's my first question. And then my next question is with regards to maybe I did like chemical engineering in my undergraduate studies, and maybe I want to pursue masters in mechanical engineering. How is that possible? And what are the things that I should know or I should do if I should be able to, I mean, do something to get it? And then my last question is when they were presenting, I think I saw something that talks about, I think scholarship, yeah, somewhere merit-based scholarship where you get different percentage of scholarship based on your GPA or your achievement or something. I wanted to find out if after getting maybe some percentage of scholarship, are there anything or is there anything that we can do to get the rest of the money to take care of the rest of the fees or something? I don't know. I want to find out.
All right, thank you, Ebenezer. I'll come to the funding option. But Ebenezer's first question was about the fact that he's still in school and his transcript
Um,
is
I
incomplete.
just
He
I just completed. I'm done with
just
school, but
completed. Okay.
yeah, I'm done with school. But you see, it has to take a little while for them to compile our results and everything before we do our graduation and all that. And they have not done that yet. And I'm hoping that will be done in like February or something. So my transcript is not complete as of now, even though I'm done with school.
Yeah, I can answer that really quickly, and this answer is for everybody in the call. Super common to be applying in your final year with incomplete transcripts. That's totally okay. Typically, schools like to see a minimum of 3 years of your bachelor's study. If you have your fall grades, 3.5 years, even better. That's what's required during the application. Once you're admitted, you will be required to submit official transcripts with proof of graduation for all prior degrees. But if you're still finishing your degree, your school hasn't posted your final grades, you're not going to graduate until June, totally okay to submit with in-progress transcripts. That's very normal.
Okay. And Ebenezer is also wondering if with his degree in chemical engineering, if I got that right, his actual desire is to pursue mechanical engineering at the master's level, and is wondering if there's anything that he could do to make such a switch possible.
I'd be
Who will
happy
take
to
this
take
one?
that.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, I can
Yes.
speak for BU. All of our engineering departments will accept students who have any kind of engineering degree pretty much. So if you're a chemical engineer and you're applying to mechanical, that would be perfectly fine. But I go back to, I think what Kat talked about earlier, which is, every department may have its own requirements. So again, go back to the website, make sure that you're going to the mechanical engineering department of the schools that you're interested in, understand what their admission requirements are. And if it's not explicit for your situation, you can always reach out to an admission counselor to get clarity on that.
All right. Is there any other unique school situation with any of you where such switches are possible?
I just want to piggyback on what Christy said. If there are prerequisites that are missing, definitely do your research to make sure that you have those prerequisites. And then also you can take MOOC courses or Coursera courses just to enhance your applications to demonstrate like your genuine interest in mechanical engineering. Just a little supplemental material.
All right. And let me answer the last question that Ebenezer had, which was about his concerns with funding. So he's wondering if he does get a scholarship at all, it will be limited. I believe that there are quite a number of funding options available, from self-financing to student loans that are becoming quite popular with students from this parts, Empower, Prodigy. Feel free to visit our website, seedglobaleducation.com, select finances and select loans for more details about that. So I think we can move on from there. And let's go straight to Erica. Erica, I just unmuted you. Hopefully, Erica, you don't have 3 questions. I hope not. Okay, if Erica isn't ready, we will go to Isaac. Isaac Adumako. Isaac, over to you. Okay, Erica, you're back. Go ahead, Erica. Go ahead.
Yes, please, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Erica.
Yeah, so my question is, if I'm able to get an admission, right, and I'm able to pay my
Right.
fees and everything, but I'm not able to pay for my visa, I mean, securing my visa, if the school has an option that is going to help me to secure my visa, so it goes to any of the schools.
Yes. Thank you, Erica. So the famous visa question. So Erica is wondering that she's done all the hard work. She's secured admission, she's paid a deposit, and she's willing to go the whole 9 yards with this. And then she gets turned down for a visa. Julie, what are the options available for her at this point?
Yeah, we have a whole ISSO team that can assist Erica with this process. We help all of our international students really kind of hurdle this because it is a big deal, right? ISSO is here to help, and it's very involved in that whole process. So we have a whole department to assist with this.
Yeah, if I could
Great.
also just mention here too, that the schools have no control over who is issued a visa. That is the State Department, and there is nothing that we can influence there. So our international students office's role is to make sure that you have everything you need, that they have received, worked with you to receive everything that they need in order to issue you that I-20 form that Kat talked about earlier, which is the basis for the next steps. But once you get through all the steps and you're at your interview and the customs agent is making the border agent is making the decision, or whoever it is in the consulate, we have absolutely no sway over that, and nor can we influence a decision not to issue a visa. Unfortunately, it's a really heartbreaking situation for many students who, as Jojo pointed out, go through that whole process. It's very involved. It takes a lot of work and effort, and it's incredibly disappointing if it doesn't end up with getting a visa at the end of it. But I just wanted to be really clear about the fact that we just don't have any influence over those kinds of decisions at the end.
Yeah, I would plug
Yeah.
Education USA is a service that the State Department has. They have offices all over the world, and I know they have offices in Accra and Kumasi. And they support students who are in your positions who are looking to study abroad in the United States and pursue their higher education there. They'll sometimes run sessions where they'll actually bring consular officers to do Q&As or panels or webinars like this, so that you can learn a little bit more what the visa process looks like, what to expect in that interview. The EdUSA advisors sometimes can schedule one-on-one meetings with you to talk about what that process looks like. But like Kirsty said, at the end of the day, it is up to the discretion of the visa officer who you are sitting in front of for that interview. Unfortunately, our institutions don't have much say. I wish I did. We do, of course, if anything happens, you get to that point, you don't get your visa interview scheduled in time before classes start, or your visa is denied, you can always reach out to the admissions office to see what options are there. For GW engineering at the master's level, we do let students to defer their admission 1 full year, which might allow you more time to get that appointment. It might give you time to reapply and get a different decision. It's just going to depend on a lot of factors, and we're here to support you through it. But unfortunately, we don't get to make that decision at the end of the day. It is up to the embassy.
Unfortunately, there are quite a number of graduates from our technical universities on the program, and a number of them have come from 5.0 GPA scale, and they are wondering if that is a problem, whether they will need credential evaluation or some conversion of some sort to be able to have their application evaluated. And in addition to that, and thankfully, if it's not, in addition to that, a number of them have also asked, and I've seen at least 20 of those questions where they talk about how they had first studied for a 3-year higher national diploma, and they had done an additional 2 years to get a Bachelor of Technology, and they are wondering if those transcripts can come together for them to meet the minimum bachelor's degree eligibility. I've seen so many of those questions in this session. I know it depends, but we can take the individual requirements in that case.
I'll start for GW engineering. We do not require you to provide a credential evaluation from like WES or ACRO or anything like that. We do our credential evaluations in-house. So there is a spot on the application that asks that you list your CGPA, whether you put the conversion that you think you have, whether you put your home institution's GPA. We're going to do one in-house, so it's fine. We will figure out what your US equivalent GPA is. You don't need to worry about it. And then in terms of the higher national diploma plus a 2-year top-up, I've seen a lot of students calling it that. So long as you have a bachelor's degree, you've earned that credential, you are eligible to apply for our degree programs. If you only have an HND for GW engineering, you are not eligible. Unfortunately, we would need an additional credential on top of that. If you have any doubt, please email us at engineering@gwu.edu. Happy to give you a direct answer if you need it. But that's the basic answer for GW.
Same for BU.
Yeah, similar for NYU. Again, we don't require you to submit less. We send it to an external credential evaluation company, and then they do that conversion to a 4.0 scale. Similar to GW, we don't accept any 3-year degrees. In terms of HND, I personally have not heard of that. But if that is your situation, definitely send us an email to our general admissions email so we can help you out with that.
Great. So if you do have so for NYU, as Brianna clarified, if you do have a PhD, if you have an HND, reach out and get the clarity that you need as well. Now, I'll take just one more question because we've gone almost 10 minutes above our time. So I'll take one more question from Francis. Francis, I'm allowing you to talk. You may unmute your mic and go ahead and speak if you are available. Yes.
Hello, Jojo.
Hi, Francis.
Yes, good evening. Good to see you. Yes.
Good to see you too, Francis.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, so I heard all the presenters spoke about engineering program. I would like to know if the other programs like, let's say, MBA, MSc.
Sorry, I had to sorry, I had to cut this one short, Francis. So the schools that are on the panel today focused on the STEMs and the graduate arts and sciences as well. However, in the broader universities of where these schools exist, they have business schools, and those business schools have those programs that speak to your needs. So I encourage you that on these same university websites, look out for the business school pages where you can find all the MBA programs, and you can have all the requirements there as well. So I don't think that you are out of place. It's just that for this particular session, it's the engineering schools as well, who are on here as well. So I'll take that last slot from Mamiya. And Mamiya, go ahead and ask your question as
well. Hello. Please, I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear, Mamiya.
Yes, I have a few questions. I'll just make it fast. The first question is, if you are interested in a professor, in terms of a professor's research, I would like them to give us a brief on how maybe the email should be like, or how to reach out to the professor. That's one. Second one, when you go to their website, in terms of scholarships, you see full fellowship, a lot of fellowship on there, and most of the times it is for the US citizen, but some of them don't mention US citizen. My question is, for the fellowships, do you apply before the application, or you apply when you get admission? And my second question is, at the SEED, the SEED website, it makes known of 6 million scholarship opportunities. But I want to know how we can access that. Is there like a form we are supposed to fill, all those stuff? And please, in terms of fee waivers for the universities present, I think only one university we saw a code for that, but I don't know about the others. Are they going to give us a fee waiver? Thank you very much.
Wow, that's a lot, Mamiya. Mamiya, don't go yet. I just wanted some clarification from you. Is your interest in masters or a PhD?
My interest is masters, and
Okay,
I've noticed that some schools are giving masters then PhD, and I think I have interest in that.
Let's just focus on the masters for now. I don't know much about the eligibility for fellowships and also research interest for a professor, but what I can answer immediately is the fact that on the SEED scholarship website, there's a big apply now button. I'm not sure how you missed that quite a few times. There's a big apply now button on each specific school scholarship. So check it out this evening before you go to bed. Please do. We also do have some fee waivers on this call. I'm not sure what time you joined, but the universities did mention, and Kat, for example, quoted the fee waiver code at least twice. So in case you missed that, she will put we'll put the fee waivers back in the chat so you don't be able to have that before you go. But is there any comment from any of you concerning research areas and fellowship eligibility, or being able to apply for a fellowship that sort of helps you to fund your graduate studies? I'm not sure about that. Catherine, Kirsty, yes?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat? You were asking about
Yes, so yes, so let me clarify. So Mamiya's question, and I've answered the second two. The first two was about if you are planning to, let's say, come to GW to study, and there's a particular faculty whose research and interest falls in line with you, can you just reach out?
Definitely.
Can you just make contact? Yes.
Sorry, I've been in the Q&A typing some answers to students, which maybe some of you have been seeing. Yes, so for faculty, if you are interested in reaching out to any of them, we certainly allow that. Their email addresses are publicly available on our department websites. Especially if you're interested in a PhD program, you are welcome to send an email introducing yourself, sharing your resume, your research interests, why this specific professor is who you're reaching out to. What I would say is one, don't be discouraged if you don't hear back. My faculty are teaching, they're doing research, some of them are working in the field. They don't always respond to me. They might not respond to you. But you're certainly welcome to send that email if you'd like. And then two, what I would make sure is please don't email every one of my professors. They do talk to each other. That you don't want to be known around a department as a student who's emailing everybody with no, every person possible, even if you don't have any alignment with their research. They want to make sure that you're being discerning, that you're really reaching out to the people who there's some overlap in your interests. So yes, reach out to them, but be purposeful in who you're reaching out to. Don't just email every professor possible. And then I know there was a question about fellowships. And so what I would just say is that for GW, like I mentioned during the presentation, when you apply for admission, you will be considered for funding. There's no separate application. At the master's level, those scholarships will be coming from my office, and those are tuition discounts only. And they are merit-based, meaning it's based on the strength of your application. If you're thinking more about assistantships like graduate or research or teaching assistantships where you're working with a faculty member, we reserve those for PhD students at the point of admission. Again, no separate application. If you apply for a PhD, you'll be considered for one of those assistantships, but it'll come directly from the department. It's not impossible for a master's student to get one of those once they're in the program and they've been a student for a year or so. You've developed a relationship with the faculty. They might invite you to apply to be their TA, or they might ask you to come work in their lab, but it doesn't happen at the point of admission for a master's student. That's the GW answer.
Thank you very much. And for all on the call, I hope you would have noticed by now that the application waiver codes and processes have been posted in the charts. So make sure you capture that before you go. We've had a great time this evening, and I will go around the table to ask for final words, something encouraging, something to get these candidates on the call up and running and punching hard to get into these programs. I'll start with you, Brianna.
I would say do your research, whether that looks like keeping it all in your head or creating a spreadsheet, creating a Google Doc with the list of all the universities that you're currently looking at, with each of their individual requirements, deadlines. Get organized, and reach out to different admissions counselors to actually set up a one-on-one meeting via Zoom to get all of your questions answered. Like I said before, rankings and programs are really great, and it's important that you're looking into that and liking it. But there are other aspects that you need to look into and trying to decide where you want to go. So determine what those are and do your research on them.
All right, Kat.
Yeah, I would say please keep the admissions office in mind. We are here to be a source of support for you. We're here to answer those questions that you might have. Our website is there for all of the publicly available information. It's at your fingertips. But if you're doing your search and you're really struggling to find an answer, send us an email. We are happy to help you out. If you're worried that you've misunderstood the deadline, if you need clarification about what we require, anything like that, we are here to help you to go through that process. That's what we're here for. We want you to succeed. We want you to join us as a student on our campuses, no matter where it might be. And so we're always happy to be there for you. So just keep us in mind.
Julie?
My biggest advice is to approach your application with clarity and authenticity. Apart from all that you learned today, remember that grad school is not only about academic preparation, but also about community. So seek out programs and institutions like this one here today that will kind of challenge you and support you as you develop into, a well-rounded engineer, researcher, or innovator.
All right, and Kirsty to take us home.
I think everybody gave all the really important advice. So all I'm going to say is, we want you. You are wanted. We welcome students from all over the world, including from Ghana and other countries in Africa. And we understand that it's become more challenging to get here in the last little while, and that there have been some hurdles, and that maybe some of what you're seeing coming out of the US may not be as welcoming as it once was. But I think we're all here to tell you that we welcome you, that you are important to the diversity and the robustness of our campuses. And without you, they will not be the kinds of places that we want them to be. So please, if you think that any of us are a good fit for your interests, we hope that you apply.
All right. Thank you all so much. And big thank you to Catherine from George Washington, to Julie from Columbia Engineering, to Kirsty from Boston University, and to Brianna from NYU Tandon. And thank you all who joined us from Accra all the way to Paga in Ghana. And we've had a lovely evening. I am so happy to have connected with all of you. I know you have a lot more questions. There's more available on the respective websites of the individual schools. You can also find more about scholarships on the Seed Global Education website, www.seedglobaleducation.com. Select finances and select scholarships to learn more about our Seed Scholarship Program as well. This is goodbye from me, and a thank you to all our panelists as well, and a goodbye and a good night to all of you. I hope we'll connect sometime soon on some other program as we continue to drive this dream to make it into our dream graduate program in the STEM field. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jojo.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.